Good morning and aloha. Welcome to another weekly wrap up. It's been a pretty eventful week, whether it's the waterfall we had at the high school or the school board meeting we had last night. Just a lot of things to kind of go over this week as we prepare for next week, which are midterms. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was some of the things that went over last night at the school board meeting regarding some changes to our back to school plan. Basically, there are two things that I see are important. Number one is regarding masks. With regard to masks, what they're going to do now is look at individual building data on positive COVID cases. Now, that is information that is shared on the Center Grove COVID dashboard. And the number that we're looking at is 2% of our population. And so if 2% of our population are testing positive within our building, they're going to require masks. Now, we are very close to that number already. And so when I go to the Center Grove COVID dashboard this morning, I can see last week we were at 17. This week we're at 19. And our trigger number is 20. So we have about 1,000 students. So, 2% of 1,000 is 20. And so if that number hits 20 today, that will require us to wear masks. Now, I've been wearing a mask on again, off again, just kind of preparing myself and establishing a habit in myself to do that. Certainly, my preference is not to wear a mask. I don't know anybody who would like to wear a mask all the time. And so, it is just kind of one of those things that I think as we move, through this pandemic, which might become more endemic as far as something that we need to live with for a long period of time, that's kind of where we're at. The other number that was talked about was the total related absences. So that information is not shared publicly, but is something that I get every day. And if that number of absences, when we look across our building, reaches greater than 20%, then we are likely to move into a blended learning situation, kind of like what we did last year, where we had an A group and B group, and they would kind of alternate. And the reason of that is that, when we have everybody here all the time and one person tests positive, a large number of students have to be quarantined because they've had close contact with that positive case. And so that will drive up the number of absences. When we are able to go to a blended and somebody tests positive, we're able to have more space between students. And so it would not have the same effect as far as number of kids who have to be quarantined. So I look back at the numbers for this week, and we've been bouncing around 16% or so as far as absences. So clearly we're going to hit that mask issue, that mask trigger before we hit the blended trigger. So I don't anticipate that happening anytime soon, but if we keep on the same trajectory, it certainly could. And my hope is that, with masks, that mask trigger happening first, that will slow that roll on that as we start moving forward. So, I'll put a link to the Center Grove COVID dashboard. That's something that I check daily and would encourage you to check it daily. Another page that I find real helpful is the Hoosier COVID-19 update Facebook page. That also this week did a great post on kind of talking about age groups in Indiana. But just like I talk to my students in class, in fact, we have a lesson on it on Monday as far as bias and graphs. Um, it's important when you're looking at these types of graphs to look at things like scale. And so my point here is if you take a look at this age group of, you know, young to about 17 years of age, you can see that over here it's, the scale is one thing. And then when I compare it to 40 to 59-year-olds, that's where I'm at. The data looks, alarmingly uh, high over here for young until you look at the scale, and that the scale is double over here for this age group. So this goes to 1200 and this one goes to 2400. And so, just be wary of data sometimes when it's presented, and know that I'm not sure if it was intentional bias, but those kinds of things do matter. And as we're doing graphing in class, we're going to be talking about those kinds of things. And look for the scale is important, so you can understand exactly what that graph is showing. In class right now, we're focusing on how to make the graphs complete as far as title, axes, label, and units, and scale can be real important when it comes to interpreting and understanding data and those kinds of things. So great teachable moment there. Um, but as always, I will be putting things into Canvas. So every day I put things into Canvas. I know I have a large number of students who are in quarantine right now. So know that every single assignment is in Canvas. Even if it's a lab, I put in data in that assignment that they can use. They don't have to measure anything. They just have to take that data, maybe do some conversions, and then create a graph with it. All those will have a video of me explaining exactly what they need to do. So, know that even if they are home in quarantine, everything they needed to keep up to date on things is in there. So you'll want to be checking that. But it's a good time to also be thinking about setting up these, optimal learning environments at home. And so we do a lot of this here at school. And, when school is happening at home, it's good to kind of start thinking about these kinds of things. And so I have 4 tips that will be helpful as far as setting up those kinds of things at home. Number 1, it would be good to make the learning obvious. And by that, I just mean setting up a particular time and location that kids can do school at home. So just, sometimes we would suggest, going through the student's schedule. And so, they start with first period and then go to second period and those types of things, and having a particular place in the home where a location that is their, school at home. And I know a lot of students will just kind of do it on their bed, but the problem with that is they will fall asleep in their bed. That's what you do in your bed. And so just kind of pick an area that can kind of be their school at home. The next one is the hardest, and that's kind of making it attractive. And so making it kind of fun and making it something that they really want to do. That's what we really struggle with here at school, is trying to make that as interesting as possible. With that one, I would say, I talk a lot to the students about that anticipated reward that they get from learning. And that's hard for middle school kids to understand. But, we talk a lot about, passion for learning, passion for that aha moment and those kinds of things. But undoubtedly, making it attractive is one of the most hardest things. Make it easy for them. We talk about making it into small little chunks when possible. It's more important to kind of focus on quality of work not duration of work. So, don't worry so much about getting it all done and that kind of thing. Just focus on getting one thing done, quality work, get that done, and then take a break. Go to the bathroom, get something out of the refrigerator, get a drink of water or whatever, just kind of take a brain break, chill out, and then hit it again. So it's not about duration, it's about quality, and really focusing on that, and getting things done, and try to automate those habits as much as possible. And so try to set up those environments that don't have friction. Kids are really good at kind of developing this self-sabotage, where, oh, I can't get to it, oh, it's not posted, oh, the internet was down, oh, it's raining outside, or it's sunny outside, or the kids are really good at coming up with these excuses. And so try to set up an environment where there's not a lot of friction there, things are real easy and simple. And then last, make it satisfying. There should be some type of immediate reward for turning it in. Canvas is actually really wise in this, and that when they submit a assignment, fireworks go off in the app, and that might seem kind of silly, but there's actually a lot of research that goes into developing these apps, and the reward that comes from that is just like when you post something on Instagram and you get those likes and that kind of thing. Same kind of idea, so there are tools within Canvas that provide that immediate reward. But, I also encourage kids to give themselves rewards when they're able to get things accomplished and get things done at home. That can be really valuable. Okay. So let's then take a look at my plan book for next week. This week we were able to get quite a bit done. We took our a lot of the things we've been doing as far as learning about measurement, and we started applying those, and then started making graphs in science. Next week in science, we're going to be continuing to do that. So last week we focused a lot on length, and then today we're going to use that length to calculate area and volume of a solid. Next week we're going to do area and volume of liquids, and so kind of continuing that and throwing in mass, and then finally kind of finishing up with buoyancy. And that will be then on Friday is the end of midterm. And that's important to consider because all assignments in Canvas will close next Friday. So right now, all assignments are open. And so if a student wants to complete or redo an assignment for a better grade, they can still do that on all the assignments in Canvas. So, strongly encourage kids to do that because, that is what learning looks like. In honors this week, in honors biology, we did take our first test on science of life. So kind of the introduction to biology and chemistry review stuff. And we also started our first EL, which is on biological macromolecules. Next week, we're going to hit carbs pretty hard the first few days. And then I'm still kind of researching exactly how that's going to play out late in the week. I've been talking with a couple of the high school teachers as far as their recommendations on that. We might do a carb lab where they're building some macromolecules, or we might jump right into lipids and proteins and kind of start moving on through those. When we get to proteins, we are going to have to look at some type enzymes and different types of catalyst reactions and things like that. So I want to make sure I can get as much of that done as I can and keep in pace with what the high school is doing. So I'm still kind of working on how all of that's going to play out next week. So thank you again so much for all you do as caregivers and supporting the learning that's happening here at Middle School North. Again, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, and I'll get back to you as quickly as I can.